Amazing.
Hi, Aki.
Hi, Kavi. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Where are we?
Well, we're at Google I/O. So, in Mountain View. Amazing.
Um, this is insane because we were like, oh, let's start a podcast like every other person building any tech product is saying these days. But we have this amazing opportunity to start off at the Creator Studio at I/O.
Yeah, and I'm exciting. Where we started, right? Google, and then if we can start a podcast here, it's amazing. Super excited. Do you want to tell what's the theme of the podcast?
Yeah. So we're super excited to launch this because we've known each other for over 10 years now. And I think we're going to take all our conversations that were happening on text and kind of put it out in the public. So welcome to this series, which is called The Compounding Effect. So what is the compounding effect? What does the compounding effect mean to you, and why did we decide to put this particular name?
Yeah, so I think compounding effect is one of these terms that sort of encapsulate multiple different aspects. If you are individual, if you are a business, even in theory and different foundational knowledge, compounding effect has so much value. And we see it in everyday life. You'll see this in so many stories, so many people's lives, even in investing, right?
Right.
You'll see this a lot, the compounding effect having that really
and it
long-term
comes from
view.
the world of, I guess, investing in kind of this idea of compounding interest that I had to learn in economics 101.
Exactly,
But,
I think.
Yeah.
I think Warren Buffett is one of the people talked about this a lot. And if you, I think Einstein as well, told it's one of the the world wonders, the sixth world wonder is compounding effect, because if you let money or anything compound over time, it's gonna bring you so much value. And I think that sort of encapsulate what we've done so far in our lives, in our careers, and looking at the world as well. I think it's a really good segue to start this podcast.
Yeah. I think let's define compound effect first. Yes, it does come from the world of finance, but I think if somebody asks me, can you visualize compounding effect for me? What does that mean? I think of this idea of sort of the compounding effect of habits. It's sort of that 1% effect, right? So for example, if you want to start a habit of going to the gym, what a lot of people do is great. This is my gym era. I'm going to go to gym 7 times a day for 1 hour. I'm going to do crazy cardio.
Yeah.
And it often, we're trying to get to that end result in day 1. And what often happens is A, burnout, B, you get bored, and C, you don't get to see effects or the change. And what the idea of small habits compounding means is that you start with just 20 minutes of stretching every day, or 20 minutes of stretching every other day.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you begin to compound 20 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then 40 minutes, and then 60 minutes, and it compounds. So you don't burn out early. You begin to see kind of, not maybe abs, but something like abs.
Exactly.
And you sustain it over time. So I think for me, that's sort of how I visualize it. But I was curious, what does compounding effect mean to you in your personal life? How does that look like?
I think it's sort of coined by different people in different ways. Even if you look at what Steve Jobs told us, so sort of connecting dots backwards, it's also something like that.
Yeah, the whole backward design.
So because at the end of the day, you may not know sometimes what sort of things that you did in the past can have an effect in the long term. And if you can sort of stack up these kind of experiences, the network and everything together, it's a high probability that you can actually do something great. It might look small in the short term, in the whether it's a couple of weeks time, 1 month's time, but if you take expand that into 10 years time or 20 years time, that effect's gonna be massive.
It's sort of these building blocks building on each other.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think that's a theme that you can bring out of anything that we do, your personal life, whether it's your business, the startup, whether it's research project. If you look at one of the better examples I can remember is from the person who invented the light bulb. I'm going to ask you who that is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we had this conversation.
Edison,
yes,
also,
exactly.
This is the second time Aki's like, who who invented the light bulb? I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
Edison.
studying this. Like, yeah. So
He
like,
has no working memory, by
Yeah,
the way.
exactly.
Okay, go on.
So I think if you remember, so
Yeah.
he built like 1,000 plus like light bulbs, like,
Yeah.
but none of it worked, right? So that is actually compounding effect at practice, like, because you sort of like tried so many times as you learn from your mistakes and figure out like how not to build a light bulb.
Right.
Like the issues with the environment inside the bulb, the type of metal that you use, the amount of electricity that you give to the bulb, all sorts of things. So all of these are like, I think, like way that compounding effect works,
Right.
and like lead to like really amazing outcomes. It might not looks very simple like when you start doing that, but in the long term,
Because you
is
seem so far away from that. Sometimes you don't even know what your light bulb is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what would it even look like is such an enigma.
Yeah.
But it sort of builds one on top of the other.
Yeah, exactly, and like you have this like flywheel effect, like after a bit, like so like for example, like one of the like in personal life, right? Like if you like, as you said, like start going to the gym, like that's gonna have an impact on your mental health,
Right.
your social life and everything. So
100%.
that has compounding effect as well. Like straight away, it's not just like single like domain, like
Yeah.
can like spill out to other domains as well.
Right.
So likewise, so like it can be applied anywhere, and I think like it's like a really good theme for us to talk about, like looking at like people with like great careers, startups like done like amazing work, and
Organizations.
research projects, like people like especially like if you look at like the AI boom happening right now, like to come to this stage, like somebody had to like invent the neural network like 1950s, right? Like from that in 80s, you had like the computation like work,
Yeah.
like really small seminal work, but sort of like paved the way. And then AlexNet in like 2011, and then the Transformer paper in 2017. So all of these things sort of like help to pave the way.
Right.
Like, but it wasn't obvious at that point in time.
Yeah, there was no way that even in 2017 that
Yeah.
somebody was thinking, I could just ask my AI to analyze big data sets
Yeah,
through a prompt,
yeah,
which is wild. And I think even before that, like even the fields of data science and statistics, like I highly doubt when people were thinking very deeply about regressions, that they thought that it will kind of culminate into
yeah.
redefining how we live our everyday lives.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like if you look close enough, you'll see these kind of examples. Like, but also interested in knowing like from your point of view, are there any good examples about compounding effect out there? Like,
I think when we were talking about what do we want to talk about, and this is a theme that you and I have gone back to often, where we try to do this pattern recognition of people we admire,
Yeah.
organizations we admire, people we admire, beautiful systems in the public domain, could be local government that we admire, of what is it that makes something that is ordinary just completely great.
Yeah.
Like there's some common denominator in all these environments,
Yeah.
and I think we're trying to get to that common denominator, and what did they do for that effect to compound. And I think for me, there are so many examples, but one of the things that comes to my mind is, the writer James Clear.
Yeah.
He wrote this book called Atomic Habits, sold like over 15 million copies. And I didn't realize this, but he started by writing a blog post Monday through Thursday every day.
Wow.
So every single sort of idea and concept that went into this book of Atomic Habits was written, reiterated, put into the public. He got feedback, and then he rewrote it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of these hundreds of articles, and not just articles, but hundreds of feedback loops.
Yeah.
That became this book that kind of redefined how people build habits.
Yeah.
So I think that's very exciting to me. But if we one day have him, I'm curious whether he had a book in mind, or he just sort of went
Yeah,
at it.
quite interesting. Like maybe, but
Right.
at the same time, he could be putting like certain bets out in the wild to like figure out what works. And I think like he's a curious person, like who likes to like explore certain ideas,
Right.
put things out there. And I think so that sort of naturally led to like, I mean, very similar example, like the person who like wrote The Martian, like the book. He actually started with
Oh,
a similar
yes.
aspect.
Yeah,
like he
the
wrote
movie.
like multiple like short stories like about Martian, like as blog posts. And then
Yeah.
eventually it became the book, and then it became the
Movie and this like
so it's
sci-fi.
very like small bits, but if you do something long enough, it will have this compounding effect. Like lead to like amazing things.
Yeah.
And it's not even like in the same domain. Like it could be like if you like bring out like stuff from our sort of like startup like building company, right? Like so the technology, yes, like it has compounding effect
Yeah.
like different ways, but also like the customers that we deal with, and also the network, like the support system, like from
Yeah.
Google and like everyone else, like who helps us. So this becomes this like interconnected network of
Yeah.
things, like with not of the same nature, but like different types of sort of components have this like network effect, which has compounding effect in the long term.
Yeah.
And would lead to like amazing results in few years down
So
the line.
much later on.
Yeah, so I think like super excited to explore this topic. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think one of the things I'm also very curious about is with people who really build these systems organizations, or even books and theories and philosophies that have changed the way people live and think and study and all of this. I think something I've been curious is, what are their habits and practices, right? Because I think we were talking about this right before we started recording. Sometimes you could have the same inputs, right? But the result is completely different to 5 different people.
Yeah.
But what is happening there? I think you said something very interesting.
Yeah, I think like it's interesting. Like so, like the effort itself, like the input is like a vector, but at the end of the day, you need to like figure out like the direction as well, especially like how we're gonna like sort of solve the problem, how we're gonna like if it's a business, right? So if you don't have like a specific focus and different people are applying effort, like really good effort, like in different directions, it could sometimes nullify the actual effect, like because like pulling from different directions and like you get the average of like 2 different directions. So consider like, in my opinion, like it's like some sort of vector. So vector should have direction and also the size as well. So that means, yeah, exactly. So you want to make sure that all the vectors are aligned in the same direction so that you have the best effect. And that's how compounding effect works, in my opinion. And like, so I think like that's pretty much evident in business startups, but also like outside like personal careers. Like I've seen like amazing people like done things over the years and years and years, like doing the same thing, like especially researchers, like
who are
entrepreneurs,
just like going so T-shaped into something.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like so.
But I'm curious. So the person's going to open this series, which is not us. But our first guest on the show, I think, is one of these incredible examples of a really wonderful T-shaped individual whose sort of expertise is very deep in a particular field. But in terms of his skill set, it's kind of the top part of the T. From leadership to building organizations to building systems to being a great educator. I was wondering how you think of that whole analogy of being a T-shaped person. Like, do you think you should go deep in terms of the expertise, but wide in terms of skills? Like, how do you think of that?
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. I think like in the world of AI, like with AI, I think like you probably need some type of expertise for sure, compared to like a few years back. You don't have necessarily master a specific field. But you need to have some sort of a specific domain that you have expertise in, whether it's like mathematics, whether it's computer science, whether it's like communication, leadership. So you can have that anchor, and then you probably need to like broaden your skill set, like be this T-shaped person that with AI, because you can actually try out different domains, try different things. Like you can like be a writer, you can be a designer, you can be animator, whatever you want to do. You can dabble in certain things, and you can use AI to learn things as well. So that applies really well in this day and age, where you sort of anchor yourself like in a specific domain and then sort of expand into other domains. You at least have like enough knowledge that you can have a conversation, like and like sort of like work with other people. I think that's I feel like that's the way that everybody should think about their careers, the work and everything is.
I'm also curious. I feel like I'm interviewing you. I hope you don't feel that way.
No, I don't feel like that.
So I think one of the questions I always ask you is, you got your PhD in sort of AI and machine learning before the hype.
Yes.
Right? This was way before you could use AI to do your assignments. This was like, and I'm curious, like, does it make you annoyed when you have a lot of these AI slop type of work, and also people coming into this space assuming they could sort of do work that's high quality? Or are you excited that the field is being democratized?
I think I have mixed feelings about this. Like, I think like, because obviously like, it was much easy to write right now, but like what you write, like the actual thought process, still it's very hard to like, I would say, outsource it to a AI model, right?
Yeah.
So, and because of that, like, yes, like you can get things done faster. So because of that, you need to be quite productive. Like, so in a PhD, like you probably need to like do now 3x, 4x time of the work.
Yeah.
Because you can do like things much faster, you can write faster.
The boring things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
So I
the
think,
data cleaning and...
yeah,
Yeah.
crux of the sort of the process. And so yeah, I'm not envy of those people, but I think like you have to be a bit careful.
Wait, did you say you are envious?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
He's not envious. So he's done with his PhD before AI, and I'm in the process of finishing it. So every time I'm like, oh my God, I'm writing like 5 papers at the same time. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, would love to hear your sort of like transition. I think like you were like initially starting without like
exactly,
AI.
my first 2 years,
like,
and then there was this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that transition like?
I think for me, so I'm in developmental psychology.
Yeah.
So people who might not be familiar, I'm in the developmental psychology space. I mostly work with children between the ages of 1 and 10.
Yeah.
So we're really studying a lot about the effects of earlier screen time and now AI tools on children's cognition, attention, their memory, cognitive flexibility, and so on. And one of the biggest pieces of research that really gets me thinking a lot is this idea that one of the big effects of AI is that struggle, that productive struggle going away.
Yeah.
Because earlier when you wrote a research paper, you had to look at 17, 20 different Google articles. You had to go to the library and get some books. You had to download PDFs. You had to write on it, highlight it. You had to weigh different pieces of information. What was important, what wasn't. And you had to go through that struggle of collecting knowledge, of putting it into a hierarchy. I think the biggest danger, and research backs this up as well, is that productive struggle going away.
Yeah.
And I think I'm afraid of that. So I still try to at least print some of my papers and like highlight it. Or I write the structure first. So I think I'm a little afraid of that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Like, so just like, felt like after like a lot of the automation came, like the mechanical automation came about, like people sort of invented gyms, right? So you can like actually sort of like work out and like have your physical.
Yeah.
I guess in a similar notion, like we'll have
that's a cool idea.
like gyms for like mental health, like
like a brain gym.
Yeah. Definitely need something. I think like we might need it because the way we're going, like yes, people are like trying their best, but at the end of the day, like when there's a time pressure, you probably try to find shortcuts.
100%.
And it would have the negative compound effect. Like if you do this like long enough,
yes,
you will like actually lose some of your cognitive abilities. Sometimes like, I think like it's a bit risky. Like, so I think like, so you have to be quite careful there. Like as similar to like having positive like compound effect, there's a possibility of like negative compound effect.
Right.
Like we're doing like bad things like small scale, but in the long period of time, you probably like lose certain skills. And I think like people like who sort of maintain this cognitive ability is gonna like, leverage AI really well. So it's like a double-edged sword. Like you have to like use that carefully. And I feel like
being reflective about how you're using it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. I think we're gonna wrap up.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, what is something you're very excited about our first guest?
Wow. I think like, I mean, there's so many things to talk about him, right? So obviously one of the things is like I sort of like use some of his textbooks for my sort of undergraduate studies, like for computer architecture. Like I remember reading that book like middle of the night in the library. So like, sort of went through like end to end the book. So like getting to talk to that person in real life, it's super exciting. And like, obviously there are other things like I can be excited about, but there's one of the like really interesting thing that I'm like super excited about.
Amazing. And I think I'm so excited this first episode, mostly because he's one of the reasons I ended up at Stanford as well. So for the next episode, we're going not all the way, it's like 10 minutes away to Stanford, to Denning House, which is where we're going to record. But we're going to sign off from Google I/O.
Yeah.
Thank you.